The bright lights of the Galactic Council chamber stung Ambassador Kethfer's eyes as he made his way to the center of the vast room. His long, thin legs trembled with each step, weighed down by fear that filled his heart like icy water. Around him, representatives from countless alien species sat in towering chairs, their cold stares bearing down on him. Kethfer had journeyed 3 grueling weeks to stand here. His people, the Zilani, were dying. Day, more of their world succumbed to the relentless onslaught of the Vorthok Empire. The enemy's ships darkened their skies like ominous storm clouds, bringing devastation in their wake. Honored council members, Kethfer began, his voice cracking under the weight of desperation. I stand before you, not as a proud ambassador, but as a father watching his children perish. The Vorthok Empire has claimed 12 of our 17 worlds. Within 2 months, our remaining planets will fall unless we receive aid. The representative of the Crystalline Collective, a being composed of living crystal, spoke first. Its voice resonated like shattering glass. The collective has reviewed your request. We choose to remain neutral. War breeds chaos. Chaos disrupts trade. We cannot jeopardize our commercial interests. Kethfer's heart sank. The Crystalline Collective possessed the galaxy's most advanced technology. Without their support, the Zilani were doomed against the Vorthok's superior weaponry. The delegate of the Aquatic Federation, encased within its water-filled tank, bubbled deeply before replying. The Federation fears the Vorthok Empire's retaliation, insisting you could redirect their wrath toward our worlds. We must prioritize the safety of our people. One by one, every major galactic civilization echoed the same sentiment. The machine hegemony's cold, metallic voice declared that aiding the Zilani would lead to a 73.6% likelihood of defeat. The insectoid swarms cited their ongoing internal conflicts as justification for inaction. The energy beings dismissed the issue entirely, claiming it did not concern them. Kethfer stood alone in the chamber's center, tears streaking his gray face. The Zilani had upheld galactic law, traded fairly, shared their scientific advancements, and coexisted peacefully. Now, in their darkest hour, no one stood with them. Is there truly no one who will help us? Kethfer's voice wavered, barely audible. The council members exchanged uneasy glances, until finally, the Aquatic Federation's delegate spoke again. There is one species newly discovered, humans from a planet called Earth. However, it is classified as a death world. No civilized species could thrive there. Disdainful murmurs rippled through the chamber. The crystalline representative dimmed as it spoke. Earth is a nightmare world. Its atmosphere contains toxic oxygen at perilous levels. Gravity is twice the tolerable norm. Its seasons bring extreme, erratic changes. Massive storms ravage continents, radiation from its stars lethal to most. Predators hunt in coordinated packs. Earth's ground itself splits and shakes unpredictably. No intelligent life could exist there. The machine hegemony's robotic representative added, calculations confirm such a planet could produce nothing but savage beasts if anything survived at all. Yet, amidst the mockery, Kethfer felt the faintest spark of hope ignite within him. Kethfer felt a fragile ember of hope flicker within. The other species were paralyzed by fear. To intervene, perhaps these human survivors of a death world would understand the cost of fighting for survival. Pulling the coordinates for Earth from the Council's database, Kethfer left the chamber without another word. 3 days later, aboard his small ship orbiting a dying Zilani world, Kethfer composed his plea to Earth. He had never contacted an unknown species before. Would they even comprehend his language? Would they care about the plight of a species they'd never encountered? To the humans of Earth, he began, his voice trembling. I'm Kethfer of the Zilani Confederation. My people are peaceful, having thrived in harmony for millennia. But now, we face extinction at the hands of the Vorthok Empire. Their ships darken our skies, their weapons annihilate all in their path. Our children hide in underground shelters. As our cities burn from orbit, he paused, staring out at the smoke rising from the planet below. The skeletal remnants of cities crumbled under the ceaseless assaults. Vorthok fighters darted like metal locusts through the ash, searching for survivors. The Galactic Council has abandoned us, Kethver continued. Every advanced civilization in the galaxy fears the Vorthok too much to act. We are alone. I know your world is considered dangerous. I know your people are classified as primitive. But we have no one else to turn to. Kethver attached the star chart showing the locations of the remaining Zilani worlds and the advancing Vorthok fleets. He included essential details about Zilani culture and their peaceful existence. We do not ask you to die for strangers, he said, but if you have ships, weapons, or soldiers who might help, you could save millions of innocent lives. Children are counting on miracles now. Perhaps you can be one. With a heavy heart, Kethver sent the message via a quantum burst transmission.
Ow.
Though Earth lay an unthinkable distance away, the signal would reach it in mere minutes. Leaned back in his pilot's chair, his gaze fixed on the stars. He could only wait and hope. Far away on Earth, deep within a fortified mountain in North America. Admiral Jake Morrison received the alien transmission at exactly 14:32 hours. Reading it once, twice, then a third time, he reached for the secure line and contacted President Lisa Carter. Madam President, Morrison said, his voice steady but grim. We've just received our first alien communication. They're requesting military aid against a force they call the Vorthok Empire. There was silence on the line, a hesitation heavy with contemplation. Finally, President Carter spoke, her tone deliberate. What exactly are they asking for, Admiral? They're asking for warships, soldiers help to fight what they describe as an unstoppable enemy. They say their extinction is imminent. Another pause. Admiral President Carter said carefully, do we even have warships capable of reaching other stars? Morrison allowed himself a grim smile. Yes, Madam President, we do. And I think it's time the galaxy learned what humans are truly capable of. The desperate Zilani message had reached Earth at the perfect moment. For 2 decades, humanity had prepared for this eventuality in secret, constructing a fleet of starships equipped for defense and, if necessary, war. The galaxy had dismissed Earth as a primitive death world. It was a miscalculation they were about to regret. Captain Ryan Hayes stood on the bridge of the UES Vengeance, watching his crew prepare for humanity's first war among the stars. Plan, leaving no detail unexplored. Admiral Morrison's voice carried the weight of confidence, tempered by the gravity of the mission ahead. Every officer in the room listened intently, their resolve hardening with each passing moment. Our fleet will split into 3 groups, Morrison explained, gesturing to the holographic display. Group Alpha will engage the Vorthok's main fleet head-on, drawing their fire and breaking their formations. Group Beta will target their supply lines and reinforcements, disrupting their ability to sustain prolonged combat. Group Gamma will spearhead the operation to evacuate and protect the Zilani worlds. Captain Hayes studied the display carefully. His vengeance was assigned to Group Alpha, the tip of the spear. He felt a swell of pride, knowing his ship and crew were entrusted with one of the most dangerous tasks. We'll use our kinetic weapons to test their energy shields,
Morrison
continued. If our hypothesis is correct, the shields will falter under sustained impact. Once that happens, we'll bring our missiles into play. Target their propulsion systems first. We want to cripple their mobility. Lieutenant Commander Foster interjected, her voice calm and precise. The Vorthok are known for their psychological warfare. Expect disinformation, decoy fleets, and attempts to sow confusion. Stay focused. Trust your training and your instincts. As the briefing wrapped up, Morrison's tone grew resolute. This mission is about more than just survival. It's about showing the galaxy what humanity stands for. We don't back down. We don't abandon our allies. We don't let fear dictate our actions. He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. Make no mistake, this is a fight for our place among the stars. If we succeed, the galaxy will know that humans are not to be underestimated. Dismissed. The room emptied as officers returned. To their ships, their expressions grim but determined. Captain Hayes boarded his shuttle, his mind racing with thoughts of the battle to come. As the shuttle approached the Vengeance, he gazed out at the human fleet one last time. Each ship was a testament to humanity's ingenuity, resilience, and relentless drive to survive. "Let's show them what we're made of," Hayes murmured to himself as the shuttle docked. Moments later, he was back on the bridge, surrounded by his crew. The calm efficiency of the Vengeance's officers steadied him. "They were ready," Helm Hayes said, settling into his chair. "Take us into formation. Group Alpha is counting on us." The Vengeance and its sister ships moved into position, engines blazing against the void. Beyond them, the distant stars glittered with quiet indifference, unaware of the storm humanity was about to unleash battle, their faces set with determination. The tactical displays showed the overwhelming odds they faced, but there was no sign of fear, only resolve. Captain Hayes opened a channel to the Liberty. "Admiral, how do you want to play this?" he asked. Admiral Morrison's voice came through, crisp and steady. "Captain Hayes, we're going to use their own arrogance against them. They expect a conventional feat, a slow, methodical relief attempt. We'll give them anything but that. Group Alpha will punch through their outer defenses. Once we're inside, Group Beta will move to disrupt their supply lines and confuse their coordination. Group Gamma will handle planetary relief." The room buzzed with activity as officers relayed orders. Lieutenant Commander Foster added, "Their command structure is vulnerable. If we can take out their flagships, their fleet coordination will collapse. They rely heavily on centralized command to maintain those formations." Morrison nodded. "Exactly. Hayes, your Vengeance, and the Falcon will lead the charge. Draw their attention and create an opening. Group Beta will follow to exploit it. We'll rely on human unpredictability to shatter their defenses." "Understood," Admiral Hayes replied, his voice steady. As the fleet prepared for its bold assault, Hayes addressed his crew. "Listen up, everyone. The odds are against us. Enemy outnumbers us 20-1. But we have something they don't, the will to fight for more than just ourselves. We're not just fighting for the Zilani. We're fighting to show the galaxy what humanity stands for. Let's make every shot count." The Vengeance and Falcon surged ahead, their engines blazing as they led Group Alpha into the fray. The human ships advanced in a tight formation, their weapons charged and ready. The Vorthok fleet reacted quickly, smaller ships peeling off to intercept the incoming humans. Captain Hayes could see them on his tactical display, an intricate web of deadly precision, like predators closing in on prey. "Open fire," Hayes commanded. The Vengeance's railguns roared to life, firing tungsten slugs at near light speeds. The first wave of alien interceptors disintegrated under the kinetic onslaught. Behind them, missiles streaked through space, detonating with devastating force. The Vorthok ships returned fire, their energy weapons glowing with eerie beauty as they unleashed destructive beams. Human ships twisted and turned, evading with maneuvers that defied standard tactics. Hayes gripped his chair as the Vengeance shuddered from a near miss. "Keep up the pressure," he shouted. "Push through." Meanwhile, Group Beta emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the system, targeting the Vorthok supply fleet. Missiles struck fuel depots and logistics ships, creating chaos among the alien forces. On the planet below, Group Gamma's landing craft began their descent, carrying soldiers and supplies to the desperate Zilani. Marines secured key positions, while engineers worked to set up defenses. Admiral Morrison watched the battle unfold, his eyes sharp and calculating. "Now they're starting to falter," he noted. "Keep the momentum. Strike their flagships and disrupt their chain of command." Captain Hayes zeroed in on the nearest Vorthok command ship. "Target their bridge," he ordered. "Let's see how they handle losing their leader." The Vengeance fired a salvo of railgun slugs, each one tearing through the alien flagship's hull with surgical precision. The Vorthok formation wavered as their coordination faltered. Across the battlefield, the human fleet fought with relentless determination. Though vastly outnumbered, their superior tactics and raw firepower began to turn the tide. The galaxy had underestimated humanity, and now it was paying the price. For the first time, the Vorthok forces hesitated. Their perfect formations unraveled under the unorthodox and ferocious assault. On the Liberty, Admiral Morrison issued his final command. "All ships, focus fire on their remaining flagships. Let's end this." The human fleet concentrated its firepower, and one by one, the alien command ships were destroyed. The surviving Vorthok vessels began to retreat, their morale shattered. As the battle ended, cheers erupted across the human fleet. Against all odds, they had achieved the impossible. Captain Hayes leaned back in his chair, exhausted but triumphant. "Message to the fleet," he said. "Show them what humanity can do. Let's make sure they never forget it." In the Mavani system, humanity had earned its place among the stars, proving that even against overwhelming odds, the strength of determination and unity could overcome anything. Encountered materials so durable, designed specifically to endure the harsh conditions of a death world. Human ships, while slower and bulkier than the sleek Vorthok designs, were built to survive and fight in environments that would destroy most other species, vessels. On the bridge of the rampart, Captain Turner watched the tactical display with a satisfied smirk. "Let's show them why brute force works," he said. "Fire railguns at targets 2 and 3, he ordered. 2 more tungsten slugs streaked across the void, each finding their mark. The second Vorthok ship disintegrated in a fiery explosion, while the third spiraled out of formation, its hull breached and engines failing. The remaining Vorthok ships adjusted their tactics, closing ranks to protect one another. They launched a coordinated barrage of plasma beams and energy torpedoes at the human fleet, hoping to overwhelm their defenses. Brace for impact." Captain Hayes shouted on the Vengeance. The ship rocked as several plasma bolts struck its hull, but the thick armor absorbed the energy, leaving little more than scorch marks. Human engineers had anticipated energy-based weapons and had developed layered composite materials that diffused and dissipated heat and energy effectively. "Armor holding steady, Captain," reported Chief Engineer Santos. "Minimal damage," Good Hayes replied. "Let's hit back harder." He turned to his tactical officer, Rodriguez. "Target their lead ship." Missiles. From the Vengeance, a swarm of nuclear missiles launched, streaking toward the lead Vorthok vessel. The alien ship attempted to evade, but the missiles adjusted their trajectories with precision, guided by advanced AI targeting systems. One by one, the missiles found their target, detonating with devastating force. The explosion lit up the void, vaporizing the lead Vorthok ship and sending shockwaves through the enemy formation. The remaining Vorthok vessels hesitated, their fluid coordination disrupted. Admiral Morrison's voice came over the fleet comms. "All ships, press the advantage. Don't let them regroup." The human fleet surged forward, their railguns and missiles tearing through the disorganized Vorthok ships. One by one, the alien vessels fell, unable to adapt to the brutal and relentless assault. On the bridge of the Liberty, Admiral Morrison watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. "They underestimated us," he said to no one in particular. "They thought we were primitives. They forgot that survival is our greatest weapon." As the last of the 12 Vorthok ships was destroyed, a hush fell over the human fleet. First wave of the battle was over, but the true test still lay ahead. The main Vorthok fleet loomed in the distance, hundreds of ships ready to strike. "Captain Hayes," Morrison said, opening a direct channel. "You've got their attention. Now let's show them why they should fear humanity." "Yes," Admiral Hayes replied, his voice steady. "Let's finish what we started." The human fleet advanced, each ship ready to prove that the galaxy's most underestimated species was also its most dangerous. The battle for the Zilani and the future of humanity's place in the stars had only just begun. Driving lessons involved, dodging falling rocks and sliding on ice. "Trust me, I know how to handle dangerous terrain." Her destroyers weaved through the asteroid field with practiced ease, using the massive rocks as both cover and weapons. When the Vorthok ships pursued, the human vessels lured them into narrow passages, where the larger and less maneuverable alien ships were smashed by tumbling asteroids. Meanwhile, the heavy cruisers and battleships engaged the bulk of the Vorthok fleet. Admiral Morrison's voice came over the comms. "All units, execute Phase 2. Time to show them why Earth's predators always win." The human fleet split into smaller groups, each moving unpredictably through space. The Vorthok fleet tried to respond, but their rigid command structure, struggled to adapt to the chaotic tactics. Captain Ryan Hayes aboard the Vengeance grinned as he watched the tactical display. "They're playing by the book, and we're tearing it up," he said. "Rodriguez, target that cluster of enemy frigates. Load EMP missiles and fire when ready." The missiles streaked through space and detonated among the Vorthok frigates, releasing powerful electromagnetic pulses. The alien ships went dark, their systems fried by the energy surge. Without their shields and weapons, they were easy prey for the human cruisers that followed. On the bridge of the rampart, Captain Turner's railguns roared again and again, sending tungsten slugs hurtling through space. His crew worked with precision, targeting key enemy vessels and disabling them one by one. "These guys thought they were the apex predators," Turner muttered. "Let's show them what real predators look like." The turning point came when Captain Nicole Barnes executed a daring maneuver. Using the asteroid field as a shield, her destroyers outflanked the Vorthok fleet and launched a surprise attack on their command ships. Railgun slugs and nuclear missiles tore through the Vorthok flagships, throwing their fleet into disarray. On the Liberty, Admiral Morrison watched as the alien formation collapsed. "All ships, press the attack," he ordered. "We've got them on the run." The human fleet surged forward, overwhelming the remaining Vorthok ships. The aliens, unprepared for such relentless and unconventional tactics, began retreating. In panic, Fleet Commander Vashto stared at his tactical display in horror. His once mighty fleet was in ruins. The humans had not only defeated his forces, they had dismantled his entire strategy. "Commander," his tactical officer said urgently, "the humans are hailing us." With a trembling hand, Vashto accepted the transmission. Admiral Morrison's face appeared on the screen, calm and composed. Fleet Commander Vashto Morrison said, "Your forces are defeated. Withdraw now, or we will finish what we started." Vashto hesitated, his pride warring with the reality of his situation. But the humans had proven themselves to be far more dangerous than he had ever imagined. "We will withdraw," he said finally, his voice filled with bitterness. "But this is not the end." "For your sake," Morrison replied coldly, "I hope it is." As the Vorthok fleet retreated, cheers erupted across the human fleet. Zilani people, watching from their besieged world, celebrated their unexpected salvation. The galaxy had underestimated humanity, dismissing them as primitive, savages from a death world. Now they had learned a harsh lesson. When survival is in your DNA, you don't just fight to win. The overwhelming human forces, Zilani people watched in awe and gratitude as the once impervious Vorthok invaders were driven away by their unexpected saviors. On the bridge of the Liberty, Admiral Morrison stood with his arms crossed, surveying the wreckage of the battle through the ship's main display. "Status report," he ordered. Captain Nicole Barnes' voice came over the comms. "Asteroid field secured. Destroyer squadron sustained minimal damage. Enemy vessels in this sector have either been neutralized or captured." Captain Rachel Brooks added from her position, "Planetary bombardment has ceased. Civilian casualties are higher than we'd hoped but lower than anticipated. Remaining Vorthok forces in orbit have surrendered." Morrison nodded. "Excellent work, all of you, but this isn't over yet." Engineering Chief Carlos Martinez chimed in. "Admiral, we've completed the initial analysis of the captured Vorthok technology. Their systems are advanced, but not invulnerable. With a bit more time, I can fully integrate their shielding tech into our fleet and even enhance our offensive capabilities." Morrison smiled grimly. "Do it. We'll need every advantage for what comes next." On the ground, Ambassador Kethfer stood, with tears streaming down his face as he looked at the human soldiers and Marines securing his planet. Their armor was battered and scarred, but they moved with the confidence of warriors who had seen victory and knew they could achieve it again. "Thank you," Kethfer said to the nearest officer, his voice trembling with emotion. "You saved us. You saved my people." The Marine, a young woman with sharp eyes and a rifle slung over her shoulder, gave him a small smile. "That's what we do, sir. We don't abandon those who ask for help." Back aboard the Liberty, Admiral Morrison addressed the fleet. His voice echoed through every human vessel and captured Vorthok ship. "Today, humanity showed the galaxy what we are capable of. We don't back down. We don't give up. We don't tolerate oppression. The Vorthok thought they could conquer the Zilani. Instead, they met the survivors of Earth, a species forged in the fires of a death world. This is just the beginning. Prepare for the next phase. The galaxy isn't ready for us, but they're about to learn. As the fleet regrouped, human engineers and scientists worked tirelessly to reverse engineer the captured technology. The military strategists planned their next move. The battle for Mavani was over, but the war with the Vorthok Empire, the lessons the galaxy would learn about humanity, was only beginning. 8. Link. She wishes to speak with you directly. Kethfer nodded, his heart heavy with gratitude and hope. He followed Ithmer to a newly established communication center, where human and Zilani technicians worked side by side. A large screen dominated, the room flickering to life as it connected to Earth. President Lisa Carter's calm and composed face appeared on the screen. Ambassador Kethfer, she began, her voice warm and steady. It's an honor to finally speak with you directly. On behalf of humanity, I extend our deepest sympathies for the suffering your people have endured and our commitment to ensuring it never happens again. Kethfer bowed slightly, his hands trembling. Madame President, words cannot express the gratitude of the Zilani Confederation. You came when no one else would. You've not only saved us, but given us hope for a future where such atrocities may never occur again. How can we ever repay humanity for what it has done? President Carter smiled softly. The best repayment, Ambassador, is to join us in building a galaxy where no one is left to face such threats alone. Together we can ensure peace and prosperity for all. In orbit, Admiral Morrison and his senior staff stood aboard the Liberty, preparing for the next phase of operations. The Vorthok Empire, once thought invincible, was now in retreat. Their shattered fleets were abandoning conquered territories, and resistance movements on dozens of planets had been inspired by humanity's victory. Sir, Captain Ryan Hayes said, addressing the Admiral, "What's our next move?" The Vorthok are regrouping in their core systems. Do we take the fight to them? Morrison looked out the viewport at the bustling activity around Mavani. Not yet. For now, we consolidate. The galaxy has seen what humanity can do. Let's show them what else we're capable of rebuilding, protecting, and inspiring. Across the galaxy, species once fearful of the Vorthok were reaching out to Earth, seeking alliances and protection. The humans, once dismissed as primitive and dangerous, were now viewed as a beacon of hope. They had proven that being from a death world wasn't a curse, it was a badge of honor, earned through resilience and determination. The galaxy would never forget the day humanity answered a desperate call for help and stood against an empire. It was the day the universe learned that even in the darkest corners of space, there existed a light that refused to be extinguished.